Did you do drugs today? No, but really, did you do drugs today? Everyone says no. Maybe you did. But I need you to double check. I need you to look at this list of drugs and tell me, honestly, look me in the eyes and tell me, did you do drugs today? I did drugs today. I do drugs every day. But the drug that I do is caffeine. Did you know that caffeine was a drug? Are you aware of that? Do you also know that alcohol is a drug? So the next time you say, I don't do drugs. I don't do drugs. Over a coffee, over a beer, or over a cigarette, guess what? You're doing drugs. Welcome to the drug lesson. Do drugs, people. Makes your life more interesting. As I told you, I do drugs every day. Mine is caffeine. I drink coffee every morning. Every morning I wake up and I do drugs. How about you? Do you do drugs in the morning? Afternoon? Caffeine is a drug. Slang, also known as coffee, tea, Red Bull, and chocolate. Today's lesson, I'm going to teach you some slang words about different kinds of drugs. I don't think you should do these drugs. I don't recommend them. If you want to, go ahead. But again, teaching you slang vocabulary will help you understand things in movies. So let's go with the list. As I said, we have caffeine, which is found in coffee, tea, Red Bull, chocolate. A lot of soft drinks add caffeine as well. So your basic colas or cokes. In Canada, we call it pop. Then we have probably the most common drug ever, alcohol. The slang word for alcohol could be booze. Also, we call beer a brew. We also could call beer suds. So all of these words are slang for alcohol. We're going to get into some hard drugs now. These ones are pretty terrible. One of the most tragic and very common drug, unfortunately, is heroin. The street name or the slang name is H, junk, or smack. There's also like brown tar or all these different slang words for heroin, but these I think are the most common. When you watch movies like Trainspotting, or a lot of movies deal with heroin addiction, a lot of famous rock stars did heroin and now they're dead, bye-bye. This is what we're talking about with H, junk, and smack. Ooh, really popular drug from all the way from Colombia. Pablo Escobar, fame. Cocaine. So many songs have been written about cocaine. In the 1980s, probably the most popular drug in the world ever. Short form or slang, we call it coke. That makes sense. Coke, cocaine. Blow. Charlie, I guess that's his name. Or nose candy, because you sniff the cocaine in your nose. So it's like candy for your nose. There's a drug that was really popular in the 90s called MDMA, also known as ecstasy or just E. And ecstasy comes in a pill form. Cocaine is actually a powder. Heroin is a brown powder. Alcohol is a liquid. And caffeine's a liquid, or it can be in solid form like chocolate. The next drug that is really common, and all too common nowadays, is this big long drug called methamphetamine. Methamphetamine. You may have heard the term meth. Now, people who do meth or methamphetamine, they can inject it, which means they put it in a needle in their veins, so it can be injected. And it is a powder like heroin. Oh, heroin is injected or smoked. But methamphetamine or meth or crystal as people call it, is a really big problem in America and in Canada. It causes something called meth mouth. And meth mouth causes the people's teeth to rot out and fall out. So they basically lose all their teeth. How attractive. Also, meth heads have a lot of scars on their face. There's a lot of open sores, and they have no teeth. Beautiful, beautiful people. Good idea. So, methamphetamine, street name is meth or crystal. Very terrible drug, like most of them. Something that was popular in the 1960s, 1970s was methamphetamine. Methamphetamine is called speed. When you do speed, you talk really fast. Everything's really fast. So, when you do methamphetamine or speed, also called uppers, because it makes you woohoo. They're called bennies and also Billy. I don't know why drugs get people's names like Billy and Benny and Charlie. I don't know why. But all of these words mean the same as methamphetamine or speed. It makes you do things quite quickly. They've used this a lot in diet drugs because it makes your metabolism work faster and it makes you not hungry. So this is a pretty common drug and they use some different names for it. And a lot of places it's quite legal. One of the very famous drugs, thanks to Rob Ford in Canada, in Toronto, is crack cocaine. So crack cocaine is like cocaine, except it's not as pure as cocaine. So there's another chemical in it that makes it crack. I don't know what the chemical is. Crack cocaine is also called rocks because it comes in a form of like a rock. I think it's like a dirty white or gray color. Also known as Rob Ford. And just by the name crack. The full name is crack cocaine, but we just call it crack. This is a really devastating drug too. Not as popular anymore as meth, but oh God. Back in the 1960s, 1950s, there were some crazy hippies that did this thing called LSD. LSD is a psychedelic drug, man. It makes you see things. We call it in slang acid or blotter. LSD is a psychedelic, so it'll make you see things like PCP. I don't know the long name of LSD or PCP because I think I'd be writing here for 2 hours. So normally we call it LSD or PCP. PCP is also called angel dust. Now, this is the drug that you've maybe heard about that people think they can fly. There's stories of people taking LSD or taking PCP like, I can fly, but they can't fly and they die. So they go on top of a building and they think they're Superman or Superwoman and they're not, and then bye-bye. So drugs are pretty dangerous. Angel dust especially. Then we have some other drugs. Marijuana, you've probably heard about. In slang, we call it weed or pot. I've also done a lesson for you about smoking marijuana. If you want to check that out on the website, ingvid.com. Smoke some marijuana. Marijuana! Another derivative of marijuana is hashish, or we call it in short form hash. We also have something called mushrooms. Now, you might think, oh, I ate mushrooms today, nothing happened. Mushrooms are a certain kind of mushrooms. As you may know, there are many different kinds of mushrooms. So, these mushrooms, or, sorry, spelling mistake, shrooms, are actually, another word we have for them are magic mushrooms. Magic mushrooms are a psychedelic, like acid. The difference between acid, one of the differences between acid and magic mushrooms or shrooms is that acid is a chemical and shrooms are grown in nature. They have different effects on your brain, but they're both psychedelic, trippy drugs. So, we've got some shrooms. We've got some hash, some pot, some angel dust. We've got acid. We've got some rock, made famous by this guy named Rob Ford. Rob Ford is, maybe not for long, the mayor, or like you can think of it like the president of the city of Toronto. He's been found many times on video smoking crack cocaine. Oh, the mayor of my city smokes crack. That's not something I think that I'm proud of. A lot of people think it's cool though. I don't think crack is cool. Crack's not cool, kids. Just like the mayor's not cool. Governments are not cool. So Rob Ford, as I told you, is the mayor of Toronto. Hopefully not for long. And he's been smoking crack cocaine on video. You can watch it. Google that. We have some speed, some beanie, some billy. We have a really common drug called meth or crystal that really is devastating. We also have MDMA or ecstasy. And actually the spelling of ecstasy, no, I can't even do it, is E-C-S-T-A-C-Y-S-Y. So I spelled ecstasy wrong. Bad teacher. Commonly known as E. We've got Coke, Blow, Charlie, Nose Candy for cocaine. H, junk or smack for heroin. Booze, probably the most popular drug. And number one in my list, cocaine. Have you done your drugs today? Not cocaine. Number one in my list, caffeine. Ta-ta.